The 26th of October saw the Building Bridges Initiative report finally launched at the Bomas of Kenya. However, at a forum that was supposed to exemplify tolerance and inclusivity for a nation, speaker after speaker, bricks to the bridge that were built were torn apart in equal measure. Contrary opinion from the peers was clearly not tolerated. A smackdown for the president and his deputy, trading subtle jibes on both character and the proposals of the BBI report. Question is, whose interest does it serve? Will the proposals in the report foster inclusivity, and how? Welcome to this week's edition of Metropole Debrief. My name is Ndero Oganga.
The Bomas of Kenya Conference Hall was jam-packed Monday morning with leaders and people from all walks of life who flocked the historic venue to witness the official launch of the final Building Bridges Initiative report. The report, which was first handed over to President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga last Wednesday, is the outcome of a two-year process that was born out of the post-election truce by the two leaders in March 2018 following the contentious 2017 general elections. Many leaders from across the national political divide who turned up at Bomas were eager to express their support towards the BBI proposals.
We have been getting 15%. Now we are talking about 35%. Surely 35% will get Kenyans out of Ufukara, will get Kenyans out of Maskini, and these are the things that we have all been fighting for since independence 57 years ago.
ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi also expressed his reservations with the proposed provisions on the Judiciary and the Senate.
The Constitution is not like the 10 Commandments. We cannot amend the 10 Commandments, but we can amend the Constitution.
His remarks perhaps mirrored those of Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, who particularly poked holes into the BBI report's recommendation on inclusivity and how the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Board would be constituted.
So let me try to ask, how fair will be a league where the referee is appointed by teams, and not all the teams, some teams? How fair will this league be?
Amid boos from a section of the conference participants, DP Ruto further slammed the proposed establishment of the Office of the Ombudsman in the Judiciary. The DP also expressed his reservations with the proposed changes to the Senate, as well as the proposed creation of a police council to replace the current National Police Service Commission.
Is the independence of our police force. The 2010 Constitution was very clear that the police must act independently of any politicians, whether they are in government or in the opposition.
But when President Uhuru Kenyatta took the podium, it was gloves off as he revealed that his deputy was part of the Building Bridges Initiative from the outset. The president also took a swipe at his deputy for failing to tame his ambition to succeed him come 2022.
Race hii ni ile ya kuhandover, unajua? Si ndio? Inaitwa relay. Unakimbia ule mwingine anakugojea pale, anatakikana kukugojea ndio ashike aendelee, si ndio? Lakini sasa my brother William hapa amepinduka, anakimbia nyuma.
With the BBI report now out for debate, a bitter political contestation appears to be looming large, judging from the apparent division between the president and his deputy. How the division will play out in Parliament once the proposed changes to the Constitution are tabled for debate now remains a matter of keen interest in the coming days and months. Victoria Amunga from Metropole TV.
Thank you, Victoria, for that report. Now let's go through some of the proposals of the BBI report so that we just don't talk about these from a darkness perspective. Now we begin with political inclusivity. The bill proposes to amend Chapter 9 of the Constitution on the executive to broaden the executive structure to achieve inclusivity, cohesiveness, and unity for the benefit of the people of Kenya. This far, so good. How does it intend to do this? Now, Clause 23 of the bill proposes to amend Article 140, question as to the validity of presidential elections, to increase the period during which the Supreme Court is required to hear and determine a petition on questions as to the validity of a presidential election from 14 days to 30 days. Now remember, 2017, a big year when Maraga and his judges at the Supreme Court nullified a presidential election. This clause seeks to increase from 14 days to 30. What will the judges be doing in that time? Well, the politicians will tell us when they will be coming to us to tell us more about the BBI. Moving on, Clause 24 of the bill proposes to insert new articles, that is 151A, 151B, 151C, and 151D. And this is with regards to the office of the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Ministers. This is to provide for the mode of appointment of the Prime Minister and 2 Deputy Prime Ministers. We're going back to where we were in 2007. Now, the function of the Prime Minister shall be to coordinate and supervise government functions. The Prime Minister is to be nominated by the President from among the elected members of the National Assembly from a political party having majority of members of the National Assembly through a stipulated procedure. Pause until there. Supposed to create inclusion, but he will be nominated by the majority. So it means the majority party has the say on who becomes Deputy Prime Minister. Goes back to the question the DP asks, what makes you think there'll be inclusivity? It does not stop there. It continues to say, Clause 25 of the bill proposes to amend Article 152, that's with regards to the cabinet, to provide for a mixed cabinet with some members of the cabinet being drawn from members of the National Assembly, going back to where we were before the new constitution. The Clause 27 of the bill proposes to amend Article 155, that is secretary to the cabinet. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It proposes that we remove the requirement for the vetting of the secretary to the cabinet by the National Assembly. This means President Uhuru Kenyatta or whoever will be president in 2022 can nominate whoever they like, whichever manner they like, and you don't have a say about that. It's only pegged on the dignity and the integrity and the honor of the leader. We know this country. Can we take that risk? Moving on, Clause 28 of the bill proposes to amend Article 155. This is with regards to principal secretaries. It also does the same as the previous, to remove the requirement for vetting of the principal secretaries by the National Assembly. Again, the president has the will and the power to do as he pleases. Remember, let's circle back to the Constitution before the 2010. The president had this kind of power. The 2010 Constitution was meant to clip some of the presidential powers to ensure that institutions are independent, whether in the legislature, judiciary, or executive. But these are the proposals of the BBI. Good intended or not, I don't know. It's up to you to decide. Let's move on to the judiciary. What does the BBI report proposes? Now, the bill proposes to amend Chapter 10 of the Constitution on the judiciary to provide for more transparency in the judicial process, which is a good thing. Now, Clause 32 of the bill proposes to amend Article 164, that is Court of Appeal, to provide for the finality of the determination by the Court of Appeal on the validity of any appeal relating to an election other than a presidential election, okay? So the presidential election decided up there, but now we want to bring all the other elections. Clause 33 of the bill proposes to amend Article 165, the High Court, to limit the tenure of the President of the High Court to a single term of 5 years. Clause 34 of the bill proposes to amend Article 166, provide the qualification of a judge of a Supreme Court to be 20 years, a judge of the Court of Appeal to be 15 years, and that of the High Court to be 10 years. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Clause 36 of the bill proposes to amend Article 171, which is establishment of the Judicial Service Commission, to include the Judiciary Ombudsman as a member of the Judicial Service Commission responsible for handling complaints on the judicial process from members of the public. This is where it gets interesting. because the Office of the Judicial Ombudsman is the oversight body of the judiciary. However, if the president has a say on who the Judicial Ombudsman will be, what does that mean with regards to the independence of the judiciary and the justice that trickles down back to you? That's up to you to decide. Let me take you through the next proposal, and that is devolution. It is the brainchild and the baby and the core of the 2010 Constitution. We've had our struggles, but 7 years on, we could say it's working well for us. So what is the BBI proposing? Under devolution, Clause 43 of the bill proposes to amend Article 202 on equitable sharing of national and other financial laws. The proposal states that where revenue sharing in the Constitution is to be based on audited accounts and the National Assembly has not approved such accounts, the most recent audited accounts of revenue submitted by the Auditor General shall be used as the basis of revenue sharing. And this is sort of to try and avoid the revenue allocation stalemate that we have seen previously. Moving on, Clause 44 of the bill proposes to amend Article 203, still on equitable share and other financial laws, to expand the criteria for determining equitable share. Okay, this is to include the need to eradicate corrupt practices and wastage of public resources, the need to ensure the attainment of the economic and social rights guaranteed under Article 43. Further, to ensure the average amount of money allocated per person to a county with the highest allocation does not exceed 3 times the average amount per person allocated to a county with the lowest allocation. This will go a long way in dealing with the marginalization conversation, because during the revenue allocation stalemate we saw counties being pit against each other, saying Kiambu is developed, it has a lot of money compared to Turkana, Wajir, Lamu. So this allocation says if you have the most, it will not be 3 times the average of those who have the least. Now, it further increases the percentage of funds allocated to the county governments from 15% to 35%, and it is being touted that it will strengthen devolution and ensure that county governments have adequate funds to carry out other operations. Now, this is a conversation that has been going on for a long time. Professor Kithure Kindiki, when he stood, he said, instead of fighting over 15%, let's fight for an increment in the allocations. Clause 45 of the bill proposes to insert new Article 207, a Ward Development Fund, into the Constitution to enable the Ward Development Fund. Now, the Ward Development Fund shall comprise of at least 5% of all county government revenues in each financial year and ensure equitable distribution and development in the wards of money allocated or collected by the county government. Devolution is to ensure service for all, to all, and quality service. So this clause is supposed to bring that service to your ward, to your doorstep. Clause 47 of the bill proposes to amend Article 218, which is annual division and allocation of revenue bills. Now, the division of the revenue bill to divide revenue raised nationally between the national and county levels of government shall be introduced in the National Assembly, which shall consider it within 21 days from the date of publication. The bill further provides to the Controller of Budget to authorize the withdrawal of up to 50% of the minimum amount of the equitable share guaranteed to county government where the Division of Revenue Act for a financial year has not been passed by Parliament before the beginning of that financial year, as we saw it happened this year. This means that counties will not shut down operations, county workers will be paid, and counties can continue functioning. Are they sweeteners or are they the real deal? What are some of the shortcomings of these proposals? Is there room for conversation in this debate? As we saw in Bomas, it showed there was slight glitch here and there, but we are Kenyans. Politics runs high in our blood, and sometimes we can differ. Question is there room to differ? And what will be done with regards to the difference in opinion and thoughts? Do we have money for a referendum? And whose interest does that referendum seek to serve? After the break, we put all this into context.